Hi, my name is Zing, and I do things. Alright, so you probably clicked on this video due to the clickbait, and I want to talk about being an artist on social media, and how low-key it kind of sucks. Or high-key it kind of sucks. It just sucks, okay? Like, let's just be honest. It doesn't matter whether you're a big artist, whether you're a small artist. It doesn't matter whether you're a songwriter, singer, I don't know, digital artist. And due to it sucking so bad, you've probably asked yourself, should I even keep making art?
Well, yes.
Yes. Keep doing it, keep pushing, blah, 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 blah. That's the short answer. You can go ahead, click off this video. That's it, boys. End of video. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. It's it. That's it. That's Joe Over. Subscribe to my Patreon, whatever the heck YouTubers are saying these days. All right. That was a joke. I actually want to take the time and dissect why we even kind of have these feelings, and whether or not they're valid, and whether or not we need to like dissect this as a community a bit more rather than just kind of hand waving all these feelings away, because sometimes I feel on the art community online feels a bit hand wavy when it comes to certain issues, like the lack of reward that you get, and just everything that you feel being an artist on social media. Let's just take the scenic route. Let's just take some time to analyze why you and I feel this way. So, now for clarification, I am a small artist. I'm tiny. I have been a small artist. I have been on social media for like 10 years, I'd say. So my background is essentially I started drawing, like heavily drawing, when I'd say I was 12. I got into anime. I mean, I got into anime at an early age, but I kind of wanted to become a manga artist way back in the day. And, so I started drawing and taking it more seriously, and obviously I was drawing anime art. And, it was good. And then eventually I discovered social media. A bit more of my background is I grew up on the sort of so I didn't have like steady internet access until I was a bit older. So I couldn't post as early as I would have liked to. But I think I had more steady internet access and private internet access when I was 12. But it was a bit of time to get that hot minute. So... And I started posting, I'd say, regularly when I was about 14 years old, with not so great success. Like, I have not great success on social media. The most amount of likes or follows that I got was from when I got really, really lucky one time. And I was featured on the Honeycast, in Ashley Nicole's. So if you don't know what the Honeycast is, it was essentially like this podcast thing where she got on a bunch of voice actors, and it was throughout the pandemic, and she would just have people recite their stuff, and at the end of the podcast they would do like an art feature, and they just like show all the art if you tagged the host Ashley Nicole's in it, and they just show it. And then that's when I got like lots and lots of likes. That account is now defunct because I don't like the art in that account, and other reasons, but I was a little messy on that account, so let's delete it. I don't know if it's deleted. It's on Twitter. I also had an Instagram account with limited success. I think I breached 500 followers, but I was cranking it out all the time, and it was a nightmare. I didn't enjoy it. I did DTIYs, and that's sort of how I built up my following. And then I just sort of quit because I was tired. I just got burnt out. I didn't want to do it anymore, and I was just sick, and I didn't want to do that anymore. And I wanted to make my own art. I wanted to make my own OCs, and just do things that I wanted to do. And and then I got a dip in following. I started losing followers, all that jazz, and it kind of was just incredibly demoralizing. So at the same time, when I was about 14, I got into conventions. I would sell at conventions, just local anime cons, local comic cons, pop-ups, more so now. And that's where I found the most reward for my art. It felt far better to sit here and have like 5 people come up to my, little table where I have my prints, I have my stickers, I have things there, and people would be like, "Oh, your art's amazing, I love it," and then they would buy it too, and I was like, "Oh, So that's sort of my personal experience as a quote-unquote small artist. I've never made it big. I've never breached like 1,000 followers. I've, maybe like in total across everything, sure, but on one social media site, I just haven't. I haven't breached like 10K likes or even 5K likes. I think I broached like 2K at one point, and that was it. So, and to be honest, being a small artist kind of sucks. At least online, it sucks in a way. It's just demoralizing, because you spend hours upon hours upon hours, days, weeks, months sometimes, putting a lot of effort into making, your art. And the next thing that happens is you get like 9 likes. 3 of them are from bots. From porn bots, prawn bots. I don't know how YouTube works, so I might have to censor that. Some prawn bots, you know what I'm talking about. 2 of them are from, your friends and family. So, and, not that I don't love my friends and family, but sometimes it feels like the equivalent of, when you were like 5 and your mom would like, put your like really crappy drawing up on the fridge and go, "Oh my god, this is so cute, I'm gonna put this up here," and then you're like, "Thanks, mom." Like that's kind of how it feels, you know what I mean? It's because like I know you and you're my friend, like your opinion doesn't mean much to me because you love me, so therefore you love my art. Like I love you guys. If my friends watch this is me hating y'all, but that's just sort of the feeling that you get. And then maybe you get like another random like from, somebody else that you might have met at a bar one time, and it's the guy you should objectively block, or the girl, or anybody. I'd be out here going to bars and going to clubs, and I'd be talking to people, and I have them following me on Instagram, and they like my art, and I'm like, "Ooh, I forgot that I added you on Instagram, but I'm gonna keep you around because I need those likes, bestie." And then you have something that's crazy. You get a like from somebody that you don't know, from somebody you've never seen before, from something you don't even heard of. Oh my god, it's a generative AI company. And then at this point you want to throw everything at the wall, and you're about ready to just hand in the towel. You throw your phone in, you're losing your freaking mind, right? And this causes you to sit here and ask, am I even a good artist? You're sitting here with yourself like, what am I doing wrong? Like, is my art just shitty? Do I need to like level up? Because you see like really, really objectively good artists, right? And you follow them on social media. These are your Leoshas. I don't know how to pronounce their name. I don't know their pronouns either. Like the famous artists, And this causes you to sit here and want to take the time to level up your work, to, just get good is essentially it. You're taking the time, you're studying anatomy, you're studying composition, you are in it to win it. And this is sort of a positive thing. It's both positive and kind of negative, because you go, okay, my art sucks, so therefore I need to improve my art. That's a good, healthy mindset. And I kind of want to talk about the like negative, the bad mindset that I will admit I have fallen into. I have done this. So if this makes me a bad person for thinking this, then apologies. But I try not to like thought police people, because I genuinely think that everybody has negative thoughts at one point. So if you've never had these thoughts, then congratulations, you're a saint. I'm not. So this is something that I've personally done, which I think is a bit mean. Um, Sometimes I look at other artists and I think to myself, low-key their art is not that good. Which is a mean thought. Like, I'm not going to pretend that it isn't mean, but you can't help yourself from having it, right? You're sitting here like, well, their anatomy's off, and you're like correcting it like you're a freaking teacher or a professor or something. You're like, this could be better, the eyebrow's a little wonky, like you're sitting here doing that like stupid TikTok thing of like, let me fix your art, but in your head. And, but the thing is like, these are also people have lots and lots and lots of followers, lots of likes, they're getting it. And then at that point, you're sitting here like, okay, does my art even suck worse? Like, do I not have the eye for this sort of thing? Because if I think their art is bad, but everybody else thinks their art is good, does that therefore mean that my art sucks? And then you go, okay, well, maybe my art doesn't suck, and then maybe I'm just mean and I'm bitter because I haven't magically hit the virality thing and they got it. And maybe they're just a good person and that's why they have a following, and maybe that's I'm a bad person and that's why I don't have a following. Maybe that's why even the really, 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 really good artists have giant followings, is because they're just fundamentally good human beings and I'm just an awful human being, and and nobody likes me. This is why nobody likes my art, is because I am a god-awful person and I just need to reevaluate myself. I need to reevaluate what I'm doing with my life. I need to sit here and think, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? Why am I doing this? Why am I an artist? What the hell is going on? Should I just yoink myself off this plane? Should I give up art? Should I give up? Should I just turn into a doctor? What do I do with myself? What do I do? Where am I? Who am I? What is the point of any of this? What is the point of living? Oh my God. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. As you can tell, that wasn't healthy. That wasn't good. It wasn't great. Now, I've personally had that spiral, not externally, but internally. The voices in my head be getting to me sometimes. I want you to notice something about that spiral and how it becomes less about your art and more about who you are as a person. Because it's pretty natural to have negative thoughts, especially if you aren't doing well. And the thing is art kind of is deeply personal. And when you put art out there, you want to feel validated. In the same way that, you put anything else out there in the world. You want to sit here and feel as though people like your art, so therefore they like you. And, it's not a necessarily completely bad thing. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will hand wave this away because they'll go, you just need to touch some grass, just go outside, talk to real people. But, that doesn't help, take the time to acknowledge that people have these feelings for a reason. I'm not a therapist by any means, but I'm not going to sit here and dismiss this very, very valid feeling that people have, because let's just be honest, we have been trained, and I mean this, trained from school to money to, credit scores, to value numbers and likes, and we put that in our self-worth. From the minute you hit kindergarten, you want an A, you want 100% on that test because it proves something about yourself. It proves that you're smart. It proves that you have self-worth. Is this a healthy thing? No, but some people still prescribe to the idea. I mean, finance bros are kind of almost in a similar mindset, except instead of having likes and follows, they want money in the bank account. I want money in the bank account, don't get me wrong. We all equate numbers to our own personal value, and that's something that's just gonna take a long time to get rid of and take a long time to sit here and remove. So rather than sitting here and hand waving it away and just going, oh, well, you shouldn't care about the likes and follows, you shouldn't care about it. I do care. And it's not even my fault that I care, As I said before, I vended conventions, and I understand that that is fundamentally more rewarding than likes and follows, but it still feels weird. It's like having 3 people at a convention compliment my art feels more valuable than like 100 people liking my art on social media, and I don't know why. I mean, like, I know psychologically why, but it's just a strange feeling, And if you're currently having those feelings, just take a time and understand you're not a bad person. You're not bad for having these feelings, you know. And if you're a larger artist who, kind of dismisses these feelings, go easy on some people, okay? And just understand. I mean, I'm sure you were a small artist at one point, and, you're sitting here going, well, once I stopped caring what people think, that's when I got all the numbers and stuff. And I'm going to level with you. It's just luck, to be honest, to get numbers. It truly is. It's sort of, it's a little bit luck based, a little bit algorithm based. Just don't hand wave away smaller artists when they feel defeated regarding this. And plus, I think when people hand wave away numbers, it also kind of waves away what I would like to refer to as a sort of issue in the art community that we just straight up don't acknowledge. Ever.
I told my therapist, she said, we'll take a break from your
art
Instagram account. I said, I can't! It's my sole source of income!
Now I want to talk about the kind of unseen and unspoken thing that artists sort of know about each other. Some people straight up use art as a job, and I want to sort of talk about the demographic of people that do. And let's just be honest, most artists are disabled. Physically, mentally, they got some form of disability that inhibits their ability to work a regular 9 to 5. Like, I go to conventions, as I stated previously, and most of the people who attend conventions are disabled. A lot of my friends are in a wheelchair, they use a cane, have some other mobility device, or have some other devices attached to them. I forgot, like, that food bag thing. I know there's like a term for it, but I'm not going to Google it because I'm just yapping to the camera right now. There's even non-visible disabilities. A lot of them have service dogs. That's sort of the vibe. So I'm just going to cut myself off here because I completely forgot to talk about this while I was recording, so we're doing this now. There are obviously other factors to why one would be an artist as a job, specifically as a job, not just like in general, but as a job, such as being LGBTQ, because we also struggle with unemployment rates. For example, I looked it up and it's about 24% for queer adults of color, which is actually more than people with a disability, which only has an unemployment rate of 7.2%. So I just want to lightly bring that up real quick. I do think I have a personal bias when it comes to this, and the reason why disability pops up more in my head than specifically queer or racial rights when it comes to artists, specifically digital artists, is because, again, I kind of go to conventions, and most of the people I know there are, again, disabled, but not all of them are queer, not all of them are brown, there's a lot of them are white and straight, but they do have a disability. So I'm going to go on a bit of like a tangent on disability in general, because I think it's important to acknowledge, is once you have a disability, it is difficult to get a job and stay in a job. Whether that's a retail job, so like in retail, you have to be on your feet all day, you have to sit here and work, and it's honestly grueling and painful, and can oftentimes make people's disabilities worse. It's not a good time. And and you get laid off, or you get disability pay, which can be below the minimum wage. I mean, I don't know how it precisely works in other countries, but I'm going to assume it's probably the same, maybe a little bit better, but from what I've seen, most countries also don't treat their disabled populations as any better than they do here in the US. Um, you know, and it's difficult to even find steady employment to begin with if you are disabled, because let's just be honest, employers do discriminate against you. And before anybody sits here and like tries to also be like, well, that's illegal, okay, dude, stealing and murder is illegal. It still happens. Okay, it's just a matter of getting caught, and most employers don't get caught because it would require the disabled person, who is probably already poor, to hire a lawyer who costs money to file a lawsuit against an employer for something that they can't even realistically prove. Like, most people I know don't even mark their disability, they just straight up hide it. Like, and even if you are relatively privileged, I consider myself privileged in this regard, is I have a salaried job. I work as an engineer in my 9 to 5, and I'm not exactly the healthiest of person. I'm what tends to be a cold for most people, where they get the little sniffles and, you know, a little cough for 2 days and then they're cured, tends to make me bedbound and needing my asthma medication for 2 weeks. It's not exactly a pleasant experience. My employer straight up, like, I got to work from home, which was again sort of a bit of a privilege, but my employer was kind of sick of me working from home, and they debated putting me on disability pay, which is essentially less because I wasn't as productive. So to clarify, I'm actually going to add a bit more statistics in here. So what I'm particularly referring to is short-term and long-term disability private insurance. So when your employer puts you on disability, it typically means they're putting you on an insurance plan. And according to one insurance site that I found, short-term disability insurance pays about 40 to 70% of your gross income, and long-term disability insurance covers about 60 to 80%. So policies vary. This is just what I pulled from one random insurance site, but yeah. So even though you'd still technically be doing work, you're just getting paid less because you're not viewed as doing as much work because you have a disability, even if you might be doing the same, if not more work. I'm also going to talk about quickly how people who have disabilities can get less than minimum wage, and in fact it is completely and totally legal from the Department of Labor. And I'm just going to list the first requirement. It's shown here on the screen. But the the thing that is a requirement is a worker's pay rate may be less than the minimum wage only if the worker's disability reduces his or her ability to do the job. Well, really a matter of opinion based, because productivity and capability is not something you can quantify. So let me just shove some disability advocacy in this video, just so y'all are aware. Moving on. So, looping all this back to being an artist, does it now kind of make sense why people are artists? Oftentimes it's used as a form of supplemental income or a form of pure income. People who are disabled use it as a sense of community and income because oftentimes they don't have any other choice. It is sort of a last hurrah. And like, what are you gonna do if you are bedbound? What kind of job are you gonna get when you can't take care of yourself? And like, let's just be honest, there's not gonna be a lot of people who are gonna help take care of you, except maybe your parents. But what are you gonna do when they go? It's sort of a horrifying thought. And posting art on social media is one of the few ways disabled people can make money and give themselves a community that they might even, not have. I mean, I might be a part of the convention circle, but people with almost severe immunocompromised, some can't even leave their house and they can't even go to the convention circle. Like, let's take, for example, what I'm going to call the biggest success story in this regard is Iron Mouse. If you don't know who Iron Mouse is, she's a VTuber, really successful, #1 Twitch streamer. But I have a lot of respect for her because she's an artist. She used to be a trained opera singer, but then eventually she decided to make her own VTuber model and start streaming. And that became her way of getting a community, getting income. And now she's incredibly successful, and it's people like Iron Mouse that are paving the way for a good chunk of the rest of us. And she should genuinely be applauded. And now she has opportunities and success and things that she would never have had if not for being an artist on social media. If she never put herself out there, nothing would have happened, or who knows what would have happened. So it's both like a blessing and a curse that social media kind of even exists. And that's why I don't really like it when people, again, hand wave away the importance of numbers. Because numbers gets you places. It gets you money. It gets you brand deals. It gets you sponsorships. It gets you things you wouldn't have access to otherwise. And it can save genuine, lives sometimes, is helping people and liking art and reblogging art. And, that's the point. Social media is kind of both a blessing and a curse. It's a newer tool, but it's a tool nonetheless. And I think, I can't blame people for getting discouraged or feeling some type of way about this. And let's talk about even having numbers to begin with. I do have friends who are artists who have some crazy numbers, some wild numbers. And typically what happens with the people who do have numbers is they sort of get locked in to whatever made them, famous in the first place. I don't know the correct term, verbiage, or whatever I'm supposed to use. I have this one friend, he made a viral frog video, right? And he has 50K followers because of that viral frog video. And that's what he did for a while, is he made so many frog videos, lots and lots and lots of frog videos. But he got burnt out because he was now locked in to making these frog videos. And that was it. That's all he ever did, was frog videos. And he was like, I don't want to make frog videos anymore. And the pressure, and he just couldn't keep up. So he just privated it and never posted again. I know another person who made incredibly, their JJK art is amazing. I know people who make Genshin art and they're also amazing. Again, the skill is there, but now they're sort of just locked in. And as soon as they stop making the art that caters to the fan base that got them famous in the first place, their engagement immediately goes down. People start complaining, they get harassed, and then they just get completely demoralized and don't want to make art anymore. And it's really sad. I've seen it happen. I'm sure you've probably seen it happen. And the worst part of it is sometimes these people don't even get money from these people who are demanding them to stay in this lane. You need to consistently make, Zhongli art. Sorry, I'm just gonna I was into Genshin back in the day when it came out. Not so much anymore, but I was a Zhongli and a Kaya stan, okay? Kaya, Zhongli. Those are my babies. Those are my mammos. And a Baiju stan. I love Baiju, but that's sort of the thing, is they're locked in. what are they gonna do? And I'm sure if they moved on to like a similar fan base, it'd probably be okay, if they kept in the video game realm. But, a lot of them feel trapped, and it's almost sad to see. Like, I know these people have stories and have OCs and other things that they want to do and draw, but they're scared because they don't want to lose the sort of, external validation or, their clientele who are buying this stuff or are not buying it. It's a real catch-22 what you're going to do with this. And the people who do tend to get mega popular, and I mean this ultra popular on social media, are typically more than just artists. So, I'm sure you've seen those YouTube videos. We've all seen them. The infinite how to make money as an artist, how to do this as an artist, how I make 12K a year, or 20K, or 200K as an artist. And, I'm not going to sit here and, name any names, but I've also seen that one video criticizing this sort of content in regards to, yeah, they're making art, but they're making more than just art. And I'm not gonna, I could argue, speaking, that YouTube videos in and of themselves are an art, video essays are an art, but the art that they're kind of talking about is specifically their drawings. The amount of money that they do make from drawings is relatively low compared to the other stuff that they do, which I don't think is a criticism to them. I think it's just more of a thing to the algorithm and, how social media functions as a whole. You have to be more than an artist in order to be appreciated for your art. And not everybody wants to do that. I watched this Instagram reel the other day where it was almost clickbaity, but it was an Instagram reel where it showed this video of this guy who was a person. I don't know. He was breaking into somebody's house and he was gonna steal something. And you're watching it because you're like, oh, that's crazy. He caught somebody who's trying to steal from his house on camera. What's bro gonna do? Right? And then it turns around and then he shows his art. The thing that he was stealing was the painting that he painted. And I felt weird watching that video. The comment sections were filled with, all sorts of praises, wow, this is such a creative way to show off your art. But it's bro shouldn't have to do that. He shouldn't have to sit here, is it entertaining? Yeah. Was it fun to watch? Yeah. But people aren't really appreciating the painting that he made. They're appreciating the expressive way to which he chose to show the painting. Yes, it's an art. That whole video in and of itself is art. But the painting in and of itself is the art that he really wanted to show. And he knew that the only way he could show that painting is by doing all this hootenanny. It's not fun. And I used to watch, and this gets into the sort of pervasive thing on what people refer to as the art community. There's lots of artists on YouTube who just do lots of other things besides art. D'Angelo Wallace. I don't know. I've been following him for a long time, and he initially tried to make more art tutorials, I think. I remember him being an art YouTuber for a little bit, and then he went more into drama YouTube and commentary, which isn't a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, do what you want. If that's what you want to do, you can go ahead and do it. I'm not gonna be mad at that. But but then there's other people, there's that whole commentary side of ArtTube where they'll shove a speed paint in the background and then they're going to talk over that speed paint, and which is fine, but it's again, you're not really appreciating the physical art itself. You're appreciating this person's commentary. Even now you're listening to me and you're probably appreciating the things I have to say more than, my actual art, which, I don't necessarily mind, otherwise I wouldn't post it. But, it's kind of difficult to sit here and, become more. You have to be an editor, you have to be a video maker, you have to have opinions, and not everybody wants to do that. Some people just want to post their art and just go home, and I do think it's a little bit unfair to expect everybody to make these giant art things. And then there's another subsection of art YouTube I think is a good thing to talk about is, the tutorial gurus. Now, I don't think these people are bad. Again, like, I feel like I always say things and I'm like, they aren't bad. I feel like it's just because my tone is a little bit judgy. Understand that if I sound judgy, I'm not trying to be. I just am horrible with tone. Forgive me. I can't control my tone. I try not to sound sarcastic, but a lot of people are just like, you sound very mean and sarcastic, and I'm like, I'm not trying to. I'm trying to sound nice. But, so there's like the tutorial gurus, and again, I don't mean this in a mean way, but, these are like your Ethan Beckers, your Sam Does Arts, your Mark Bruns, and, I'd say they're probably the most people who are appreciated for their art, but they're appreciated for their knowledge on art because they are able to sell their tutorials, and a good chunk of them have genuine industry experience, so it's helpful, Even then, I know a lot of industry professionals that I've met through just, I don't know, like at animation expos and just kind of just general life. I float in artist circles, so I know people, and even the industry professionals who don't make YouTube content or Instagram content, like, they don't do much. They literally just post their work. Like, they post their stuff, and these people are amazing. Like, industry professionals have such amazing work, and anytime I like meet one, they'll be like, yeah, let's follow each other on Instagram. They have like 50 followers. And I'm like, but it's because they don't appeal to what I'm going to refer to as the algorithm. Hey boys, it's the algorithm. You love it, you hate it. It makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. The mysterious algorithm. The thing that we all dread. The thing that we have searched up. When's the best time to post? What hashtags do I use? How do I format my description? Where do I post this? What do I do with this? How do I appeal to the algorithm? The algorithm, the algorithm, the algorithm. I hate the algorithm. I don't even know what that means. Artists say this, but we don't even know what it means. I kind of know what it means, but I don't think most people really, really know what it means. So, the algorithm functions in sort of what I would like to call a way. That's not very descriptive. It functions in a way that gives it a sort of a je ne sais quoi. This is stupid. The algorithm is both mysterious and not mysterious. It is very clear what kind of content goes into the algorithm and what is going to make for good algorithmic content. We know the kind of stuff that the algorithm likes, it's the nostalgia kind of things, the like, let me draw the Harry Potter characters reimagined as Shrek characters. It's the drawing really, really good, like, hot people of like, let me draw so-and-so, let me draw Miguel O'Hara from Spider-Verse as a woman and give her them giant gozoinks. Like, we know what does well. You know what I mean? Like, realistically what does well on the algorithm. It's something that's kind of funny, kind of nostalgia-y, really, really popular. In some cases, it's stuff that's almost flashy. Like, there was that one guy where I was just like, this is just total algorithm bait. It's like he was, just doing the whole paint over the thing, and he's filming himself. And it was just so extra is the best word I can use, but it does well in the algorithm, and I remember most of the comments regarding that were like, yeah, you could tell he'd be reamed by an art professor, but, the algorithm loves this kind of nonsense. The algorithm loves it. Let's kind of go a little bit deeper. So I want to talk about staying on brand. That is a big one for the algorithm. You have to stay on brand. If you are Cheerios, do not be anything but boxes of cereal. You know what I mean? That doesn't make much sense, but if you know, you know, okay? I'm just get on my level, okay? I'm on a higher plane of thinking right now. I am tired. It is like, okay, it's not that late, but I'm just tired. I don't know what I'm saying. But staying on brand is a big one. So I ran kind of a little bit of an experiment way back in the day when I first made a TikTok. Because I was curious. I noticed this on Instagram too when I first started my Instagram account. I actually did get lots of likes on my first post because I didn't have an algorithm yet. I wasn't a part of the algorithm yet. Instagram was still trying to figure out what to do with me. And so I ran an experiment on TikTok. And I was doing well on TikTok for a while because I was running my experiment in what I would like to call staying completely on brand. I didn't interact with anything that wasn't related to art. I only liked art videos. I only watched art videos. If it was a dancing Charlie video, is that her name, Charlie? Charlie XCX? Are they the same person? I don't know. I wouldn't watch any of those dancing videos. I wouldn't watch cute puppy videos or cat videos. I wouldn't watch cool, editing videos. I wouldn't watch, here's how I make $1 million in a day, finance bro videos, whatever kind of videos are on TikTok. I wouldn't watch any of those, just pure art. Speed paint after speed paint after speed paint. People talking about purchasing art. People talking about buying art. People talking about doing everything known to mankind with their art. Art. And I was doing good. I was doing very good. Very good. I was building up my numbers slowly but surely. And then I had to do what I almost sort of regret in a way. I let my friends add me on TikTok. And then they started sending me TikToks that had nothing to do with art. And you could never have guessed what would happen then. My numbers went down. What happened? I wasn't a part of the correct algorithm anymore. Once I started liking the cute, funny videos, the anime videos, the videos that had nothing to do with art, that means my videos, the videos that I was making, because TikTok then decided I wasn't a content creator, I was just a normal human being, so therefore it's going to not show me, it's not going to show my work to everybody else. And, you could sit here and be like, well, you should have made an alt account, and I remember the same thing happening on Instagram back in the day, and the same thing happening sort of on Twitter. That's like what happens. You have to appeal, not even appeal, but just be a part of the algorithm. And that doesn't really work. I'm a multifaceted human being. I like different things. I'm not just an artist. I happen to be really, really into old movies. If it is before the 40s, there is a really good chance I have watched it. Okay? I have watched, I need to make a Letterboxd account because I'm kind of losing track of all the movies that I have watched from the 30s and the 20s, and it's getting a bit of a pain because I'm like, did I watch that? Did I? I also happen to be into, the same things that everybody else likes. I like cute dog videos. I like cute cat videos. I like cute animal videos. where the comments section, you go into there and they'll be like, this is animal abuse, and you're like, is this animal abuse? I don't know. And then you have to Google things, and then you're like, is it? Because, you know, Google isn't helpful anymore. And then you're like, oh, did I just like a video of an animal getting abused? I thought it was cute. You know. I like those videos sometimes. But, you know, I'm multifaceted. I care about a lot of things. I'm also into politics, you know. I read about politics. I keep up with politics. I try to be socially aware. I also like anime. Who would have guessed? How original. You like anime. You know, I like a lot of different things. You know, I'm into dancing. I'm into art. I'm into all this stuff. I'm a normal human being. Most people are. I also really like volleyball. I'm into sports. I know, shocking. But yeah, I'm just a multifaceted individual, and so is everybody else. So it's kind of ridiculous for the algorithm to expect me to only want to watch, you know, art videos, so I can post art videos, so I can be a part of the art version of stuff. And that's just the TikTok algorithm, you know. But I've seen it work similarly on other sites like Twitter, Instagram. So let's talk about another big chunk and a part of the algorithm is posting frequently. That's what you're gonna hear on all those like YouTube videos and all the advice. Post frequently, post once a day, have a regular posting schedule. Be for real right now. I make art. It takes a while. I can't post once a day. And you might go, well, post your WIPs. And I'm gonna level with you. Sometimes my WIPs do not look good, okay? They don't look good. And sometimes I'm sitting here wrestling over which freaking color to use for like 3 hours, looking at the little triangle, moving it back and forward like 0.2 centimeters. Like, oh, that one's too bright. And a sane member of society can even tell the difference, but because you're an artist, you absolutely can't. I'm not gonna post frequently. No. So let's just be honest. The algorithm creates problems for artists and problems for non-artists. Because the thing that I've noticed with the algorithm is it makes it so that art is only for artists. Like, chances are, again, you're watching this video because you are an artist. You're not just some rando finance bro. Maybe you are, but you're probably looking how to exploit it to shove me in some sort of AI nonsense. And it creates this devaluation of art as a whole because only artists value art. And that's a problem. You know, if the only people who like my posts and the only people who engage with my posts are artists, I can't make a living. You know, you can't make a living off of your art if it's just, you know, the only other artist who's also trying to sell their prints. Like, no, I need to appeal to more people than this. Causes the masses, I guess to phrase, to not value art. And that's the reason why AI is really popular. I hate to admit it, but it is. Because, as I've stated above, the masses don't value art. And AI can do things that, let's just be honest, artists cannot. It can appeal to the algorithm. It can appeal to posting frequently. You know, it takes like 2 seconds for an AI image to pop up with a cute, hot anime girl wearing a bikini. Like, that would take me a hot minute to draw. But AI is going to do that in like 2 seconds. You know, so naturally AI is going to get promoted more. And then who's going to see that is the masses, because that's who's making it. And it's promoted by the algorithm not to other artists, but to the masses. So when the masses do happen to schedule or like stumble upon art, that's the word. So when the masses happen to stumble upon art, they're going to sit there and go, well, I can just use AI. You know, like, I've met people who used to buy my artwork who have told me, like, I've heard them in the convention hall and they're like, I could just make that in AI. That hurts. That hurts. AI is popular just because people don't value art. People don't want to value art. And it's easy for, I think I've seen other artists also fall into the trap of using AI because maybe they don't have skills or talent in another section, because again, they're also poor. I've seen other artists use art like generative AI to make a different kind of art. You know, I've seen writers use generative AI to generate book covers. I've seen songwriters use generative AI to make album covers. I have seen artists use generative AI to write, poetry. I've seen them use it to make songs. You know, sometimes other artists don't even value other people's art. Now, I'm going to go on another bit of a brief tangent about AI art, because I kind of have a little bit of a hot take. Not all AI is bad. I know. Kill me. Okay, but I'm saying this because, again, remember how I said I was an engineer, so I have like an actual take on this. So AI is kind of a bit of a god-awful term. Like, when you know computer science, now I'm not personally a computer science or a computer engineer, I'm a mechanical engineer, but I do have a brief background in programming. So I know vaguely of the differences. So there's like machine learning, there's AI, and but there's the way that we also use AI in the essence of a term. The actual definition, according to IBM, is, you know, something that is almost autonomous. It can generate opinions on its own. You know, you can't tell the difference between it and a human. You know, that's what we used to think of as AI, right? But thanks to generative AI, people have begun to think that generative AI almost has a consciousness, which is just purely marketing. So I will say that technically the way computer scientists use AI is, we've had AI for a long time. It's the predictive text on your phone. It's the predictive text on the Google search. It's what, you know, sorts the most relevant results. It's the algorithm. You know, those are all technically AI. But what we as artists are fighting against is generative AI. It's sort of a rectangle square kind of thing. Like, generative AI is the square, and, you know, AI in general is, you know, the rectangle. Like, yes, it's AI, but that doesn't mean it's a square. You know, rectangles aren't squares, but squares are rectangles. So I need people to understand this. So, because a lot of the time people will like just shove AI all over everything, and that has nothing to do with anybody. That is just straight up marketing, and people who don't understand what AI even is, and they're just shoving it. I mean, I've even met fellow engineers who are like, AI is the way of the future. And so what generative AI is, I think we kind of get the gist, is it crams in a bunch of garbage, or i.e. stuff. I mean, my art isn't garbage. I don't know about you. Well, I'm kidding. But, you know, it crams in a bunch of art, songs, things from all over everything, all over the internet, anything that they can shove into a database, mishmashes them all together in a soup. This is the layman's terms for it. And then will serve you that soup. And that's kind of it. That's sort of the best way to describe it in layman's terms. Now, the big issue with AI is two issues. Is one, copyright. There are so many copyright violations that it commits because most people didn't have consent to have any of their art or their data or anything to be trained on AI. It is fundamentally a privacy issue, regardless of whether or not you're an artist. Like, it's just messed up. there was a certain whistleblower who mysteriously died. Big shocker there. And most artists were able to call this out relatively in its early days because of this, because we were quickly realizing that people were training it on our art, and and there's a bunch of other issues such as like deep fakes and all this other stuff. And I remember watching a YouTuber explain, he was a computer scientist, and he's like, this is the way of the future, like deep fakes are so cool, we can make actors do and say what we want without having to hire them. And like, it just baffles me how people can see this and like sit there and think it's a good thing. Like deepfakes, I'd say, are probably the scariest part of AI for me, because it's like you can just straight up pull anybody's face and use them how you please. It's such a I mean, I'm on the internet, I know how things work. You can just use it, and it's not great. You can use, and Chat GPT and all this other stuff, like they've been trained on like actual books. There's like a couple of examples of Chat GPT just straight up quoting like a whole nother book without actually going, here's the quote that I used. It's not great. It's not fun. And I've met a lot of people who essentially don't have any backbone and will continue to use AI. I have coworkers who will use AI because they just think it's the new innovative thing. Oh my God. I'm tired. I'm very tired. And this is completely also ignoring the environmental impact of AI. Like, AI is putting us on a fast track to honestly almost complete total annihilation of some of our it's just accelerating climate change. It's accelerating climate change. And I'm like, this is great. This is fine. I'm doing fine, guys. And all of this because y'all want to make, I don't know if you've seen Shrimp Jesus, but I've seen Shrimp Jesus, and I'm like, oh my God, we're blowing the world up so y'all can make Shrimp Jesus. I think about AI and I just want to cry a little bit. So while I was editing this video, I also came across more information regarding AI that generally upsets me, that I feel as though I should spread awareness about, simply because it kind of affects me directly because I live in Arizona. So in general, Arizona is a bit of a hub for electricity because we have low energy costs and low risk of natural disasters like earthquakes, tornadoes, so a lot of data centers like to come here. More particularly, they like to come to Phoenix and the general Phoenix metro area. So we are going to be hosting a lot of AI. This is mainly an issue because particularly the native communities down here often lack electricity, which is mainly because it's not profitable for larger electrical companies to give people on the reservation electricity to begin with. So it's just kind of like, okay, so we're going to shove all of our tax dollars into giving these AI companies a bunch of, free real estate, essentially, to build their data centers because it's quote-unquote good for the economy, but we are going to not prioritize actual human needs by giving, tribal communities actual freaking electricity. And again, this is just so freaking annoying, and I hate AI. I hate AI. So if you are using AI at this moment, just so you know, yeah, you are unironically contributing to the continued oppression of us natives, and I'm sick of it. And I know I have met other natives on this freaking earth. I hate living in Arizona, and I'm sitting here staring at all these other natives. I have seen y'all, and y'all sitting there on your phones with Grok and all this other AI nonsense and Chat GPT. Okay, just so you know, you're hurting all the aunties back home. Okay, you go to Loop, you go to freaking Window Rock, you go all the way back to the res, and your granny's sitting there complaining about not having electricity and not having running water, and you're sitting there on your phone messing around with AI. You're a part of the blame, honey, okay? That's just, I'm gonna get a little sassy. So if you're native watching this video and you're using AI, I got words. I have words. I got words. We should know better. We know better than this. Be better. My God. Yadallah. So that the tangent over. I hate AI for like all. So if you happen to be a normal human being watching this, please stop using AI. Just stop. Grow a backbone. Pick up a pencil and draw. Pick it up. Pick it up. Okay? I grabbed my emotional support togepi because I'm going to talk about this. I think AI was sort of the last straw that has completely caused the downfall of social media as we know it, like as a whole. Pretty much everything these days is completely littered with AI. You are not going to find a site where you don't see AI art. You are not going to find. I'm going to cut myself off again because I forgot to talk about this while filming. So there are some sites that were designated for artists, such as DeviantArt and ArtStation. ArtStation used to function as sort of a LinkedIn profile, for lack of a better wording, but specifically for artists. You would use it to network and to try to find jobs, and employers would find you. DeviantArt sort of served the same function, but it was a lot more casual. And both of these have been completely taken over by AI art, if you haven't already seen that or know about that. So they're functionally useless now and are almost completely dead. I mean, I'm sure, again, some people still use them, but people probably only use them out of necessity, as in they were already using it previously and are trying to maintain a fan base or the people who are on there, sort of thing, rather than wanting to use it because they can. And that's just really sad. There is a new app called Artful. I remember trying it out once, but I think it suffers from sort of another problem that I've kind of talked about earlier, which is artists marketing towards other artists. You are not going to get the masses on Artful because it's just for art, and the masses don't appreciate art as it is, so they have no incentive to sign up for an app that's just for artists, you know? Like, unless there's some other content on Artful, nobody but artists are going to use that app. And I don't get me wrong, I like the app, but you know, nobody's going to use it if it doesn't have broader appeal. I don't know if there's any other apps that are popping up or other sites that are popping up to replace the ones that we currently have. From what I've seen and what I've heard, not much. So I just wanted to briefly touch on these before I get into the meat of this. I'm just going to quickly run through the different social media sites and what I personally think of them. These are all just sort of opinions rather than fact, but... So I'm going to kind of talk about Tumblr. Everybody always talks about Tumblr and Tumblr's dead, nobody uses it. I use Tumblr. I've been using Tumblr. I haven't stopped using Tumblr. Get good. I use Tumblr. I don't understand why people don't use Tumblr. People are like, oh, it's because of the prawn ban. I'm gonna go with you. It never got banned. I don't know why people like talk about it like it got banned. It was never banned. It was never ever banned. Ever. Like, I mean, they had like that one big sweep, and it just... And then, you know, it all came back, like all the prawn bots are still there. Like, it's still there. I just like, I don't know. I feel like, I mean, I'm not going to say use Tumblr. I do think you have to be a very kind of particular sort of person to use Tumblr, because Tumblr has a very unique social media culture that I don't think any other site can quite replicate. Like, it's cringe, but it knows that it's cringe. I know I'm cringe. So that's why I kind of like Tumblr, because I may be cringe, but I am free. That's kind of the Tumblr issue. So I'm gonna say that go ahead and use Tumblr. Like, I don't think it's ever had a real downfall. I think people just like to pretend that it's like as bad as everything else. For some reason, it's really, really not. If anything, it's better than a lot of other things. I just don't know. I don't. So Instagram, as I've said, I've used Instagram off and on as an artist. I still kind of post there every now and again. I don't really know why. I mean, I don't do numbers. I think I just kind of use it as a portfolio so people know that I'm a human being that like exists, because a lot of people who want to follow me on Instagram. This is the big thing that I've noticed. When I go to conventions, they're like, they want to follow me on Instagram, and they're like, you don't have all that much on your Instagram. And I'm like, I know I don't have all that much on my Instagram because I don't like to post on there. And then they don't follow me because I don't post on Instagram. So that's kind of my bad thing. But even then, I've noticed most people don't really use Instagram. Like the already big popular artists are posting on Instagram, have not stopped posting on Instagram, but it's kind of just gone downhill. Like, I don't really follow, like, Instagram only really shows you the people that you follow immediately. So I don't even see some of the artists that I follow. Like, I straight up forgot that I was following some artists. I have to, like, physically search them up to go, did they post anything? And then I'm like, oh yeah, they did. Like. It, like, I use Instagram these days to literally just show me events in my area and to shop. Sorry, I do shop on Instagram. But, Instagram just isn't that good for new and emerging artists, and you might go post to Reels. That's not that great either. Now, let's talk about Twitter. Now that it's X, I think, if you don't know what's wrong with it, essentially the Muskrat bought the Twitter and renamed it to a X, which is literally the stupidest name I can think of. Like, he at least called it ZY. Like, I don't know why he named it X, because literally I have that thing on my phone, and people who don't use Twitter are literally like, oh, you have that on your phone. That's kind of the reaction. It's Twitter. So, and its downfall is obvious. Like, I go there now. I mean, there's still sometimes I check it, but I honestly check it for, like, one very specific artist, and that's it, because she makes old movie art. She also got engaged, which is really fascinating. And she makes old movie art of the old man that I'm obsessed with, who has been dead in his grave for 8 years. And that's what she did. And that's, like, most of her content. Like, you have super niche interests, and there's always that one Japanese artist that is also into that niche interest, and that is all they do. Yeah, that's mine. That's the only reason I'm still on Twitter, is because I don't care about anything else. I mean, sometimes I also go on there just because I want to get angry, because I'm like, my day's been a little too boring. I'm gonna go on Twitter. That is a horrible take. Keep yourself safe. Sometimes you gotta release the demons, you know what I mean? And the downfall of Twitter is pretty obvious. It's now overrun with AI, bigots, and just a whole nightmare. It's not a good time. Now let's talk about the downfall of TikTok. Now TikTok is actually still functional. It still works like it always has, but since the United States government has decided it didn't like China getting our information, even though they also get our information, and I'm like, I don't even understand what information they're getting. Like, it's TikTok. Are they just gonna know that I've just watched this one very cool AMV 200 times? Oh no, they know my interests. Oh, advertisers. Like, okay, like our social security has been leaked so many, like, our social security number has been leaked so many times so many times. Like, I'm debating on, like, whether I should even, like, search it up anymore. Like, every other thing, it's like, oh my god, your social security number might have been linked. Do you think that would be a bigger issue for the United States government than freaking TikTok? Okay? Like, that's an actual data breach. An actual legitimate data breach that could be in the hands of, like, the wrong people. But instead, you're going to TikTok, where the most that they know about me is that I, like, stare at thirst traps sometimes of anime characters. Yes, I'm watching that Sephiroth video 200 times. You can't stop me. Yes, I happen to be a Silco enjoyer. Yes, I think Ambessa is fine, and I have rewatched that one AMV where she comes out of the bath one too many times. Yes, oh my god, China has that info. Fix the social security, guys. Oh my god. So I'm not going to say TikTok. I'm sure there's going to be something to replace TikTok. I've heard briefly of something called Lemonade. But that's also owned by the same company as TikTok. I think they're trying to sit here and get away with making just the same thing as TikTok, but like slightly different, because they're not banning the company, they're just banning the app because the United States government is cripplingly inefficient, which I find really funny. Actually, I don't know, they might be banning the company. I haven't read too much on it, but it feels like something that they would do. They just ban the app and not the company, so the company would just make another app. That's funny. Can you imagine? You're just the TikTok CEO, like, yeah, sure, we can't have TikTok in the United States anymore, but let's just call it something else. Great idea. Let's call it something else, and then we can repackage that to Americans and then give it another 10 years. And we'll figure it out from there. That would be funny. So, like every other artist who was disillusioned by the Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, I decided to move to bluer skies. Now, I kind of both like and dislike Blue Sky, if I'm being honest. I like it in the sense I do feel as though I'm getting more exposure. I don't feel as though it's super biased towards people. Starter packs are definitely useful and helpful, and I have discovered artists who cater to my very specific niches, and and they're also relatively small artists, and I genuinely would have never discovered them if it wasn't for Blue Sky. And I'm just like, I love their art so much. I love it so much. Oh my god. Because it caters to my interests, and I can actually search things up, and it's fun. And I do like Blue Sky for that reason. I also like Blue Sky because of the nuclear block button. That is so useful. You can just block out all the crazy conservatives, because arguably you should just be blocking them. Don't give them a platform. No quote dunking. 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 And then I quote dunk on Twitter. But it's genuinely almost like a healthier platform. Like I kind of feel the same way I did about it way back in my DeviantArt days, and that's sort of how I feel. I'm enjoying Blue Sky as a whole, but I don't necessarily know if it is bluer skies. There is this current petition going on to ban this incredibly cruel person, a journalist called Jesse Singal. He is fundamentally TERF and is, inspired a lot of hatred against trans people, and, there's a lot of, it's just not great, and, and people are calling for him to be kicked off because he has objectively broken Blue Sky's engagement. I haven't kept up with the story entirely, partially because I don't need to think about one more thing that will inevitably just upset me about social media. But given how Blue Sky is reacting to all of this, if they allow this person to continue, Bluesky could also just become the next X, not even the next Twitter, the next X, which I mean that in a derogatory sense. Don't become the next X. And so that's a very big worry, and I'm also a part of a native Bluesky, and a lot of natives on Bluesky have also noticed that natives tend to get kicked out and tend to get harassed on Bluesky. I mean, we get harassed on like any platform, so that's not really shocking to me. But, and they're reporting certain people, and, that's also going nowhere. And they are breaking engagement. So, it's just, it's sad. It's sad. It's not great, a little bit ominous. And I don't know how to feel about that. So I am truly hoping that Bluesky will be bluer skies, but I'm not necessarily putting my hopes up. I will say you should absolutely join Bluesky, because I feel as though it's one of the better social media platforms out there currently. But don't put your stock in it completely being better in all regards. So after all this, you might even begin to wonder, why even post on social media? I talked about earlier how I felt more fulfilled in the convention bracket. A lot of artists float purely offline. They don't make art and post it online. They just exist, and they feel more fulfilled. And now this one's going to be a little bit difficult to answer, I think, is honestly because of money. If you want exposure, or if you are, again, like a disabled artist, or you have a project in the future that you want to tackle, it is prudent for you to post on social media. But if you are just making art just to make art, I'd argue you don't really have to post on social media. But if you want the exposure that comes to social media, continue to post. I'm gonna talk about the naysayers for a hot minute, because there's something that has, people will always flat back at you when you're talking about trying to make money as an artist, or trying to make it as an artist, is the poor, starving artist trope. And that's, artists have always been broke, Edgar Allan Poe, more like Edgar Allan Poor. Vincent Van Gogh, more like Vincent got no money. Frida Kahlo, more like Frida, call your bank because you're broke. I'm sorry, that was really stupid. I had to make these puns. I don't even know if Frida Kahlo was broke. I think she actually had money. I don't. Ignore my art history. And like, okay, cool. I do think social media has afforded artists an opportunity to be able to make money, but not all of us are going to be lucky where we can actually make money off of our art. It sometimes feels more like a pipe dream than it feels realistic, but I'm going to level with you. I don't really want to make art as a job. I'm going to say this. That sounds a little bit insane. I don't want to make money off of my art, actually. I just want to be able to make money to support my art. If I went to conventions, I would honestly love to give people things for free. I would love to give my posters away for free, my stickers, my keychains, my commissions. I would love to do that. Like, currently right now, I am making art for all of my friends, and, I asked them to send me a character that they wanted me to draw, so I can ship it to them in the mail. And, that's, because I like relatively drawing, I think it's fun, I would love to just give that to people. I want to give people art. It's fun. And I think that's how a lot of artists would approach it. I want to tell my stories, I want to make my comics, and I wouldn't charge if I didn't have to, but a girl's gotta eat. A girl has bills to pay, a girl needs her electricity, a girl needs running water, a girl needs a roof over her head, a girl has pets and needs to pay for vet bills, a girl has to support her family, your girl I have to get money. Sorry. You know, that's why I post on social media, is because, yeah, I do want money. I do want recognition. I do want clout. And you can call me selfish for wanting it, but I'm just gonna not be afraid to admit that out loud. I want the likes. I want the subscriptions. I want people to hit that notification bell. I want that. Not necessarily because I think I'm all that. I mean, I kind of am. But because I want my art to be shown to the world. That's what I want. I want people to see it. I want people to appreciate it. And it's very disheartening sometimes when you feel like you're just never going to get that. Many of you, I used it in the thumbnail of this video, have probably seen the movie Look Back. If you have never seen the movie Look Back, and you are specifically, I'd say, a drawing type of artist, I highly recommend that you watch it. It is profound in a way that it hit in places. It hurt. It hurt, but like in a good way. You know, that kind of hurt where you're like, this is the most amazing movie I've ever seen. I'm never watching it again. That kind of hurt, you know. So if you haven't watched it, please literally click off this video and go watch it. Go right now, okay? If you are a digital artist, click off, exit. I don't even care if you watch the rest of this video. Just go watch that freaking movie. It's great. So now I'm gonna give you mild spoilers, so here's the timestamp if you want to skip. So before I start summarizing it, I know video summaries are kind of a bit annoying, so I'm going to try to do this like really fast. So timestamp. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so I'm going to try to do this in like 5 minutes, plus or minus a couple of minutes. So Look Back is about an artist. Her name is Fujino. So she makes 4-panel comics, manga for her school newspaper, and you know, she's a little bit of a punk kid at the beginning of this. So that's her thing. She feels her oats, you know, everybody's like, wow, you're such a good artist, you're such a good storyteller, and she's like, damn right I am, right? as she should be. And her teacher eventually asks if another kid called Kyomoto can get the other side of the 4-panel. And, you know, she's like a little bit hesitant, but she's like, yeah, sure, go ahead, but they won't be as good as me. You know, she has a little bit of an ego about it because, you know, she's been complimented to heck and back, right? So the 4-panel gets published, and she realizes that this Kyomoto is low-key kind of better at art than her, but she only draws background art. So this inspires Fujino to essentially get better at art. This kind of calls back to what I talked about at the beginning of the video. You know, it's that grind set. You know, I'm sitting here studying anatomy, studying composition. I'm gonna get good. And that's sort of the mindset she gets into. And this costs her a lot. It costs her friendships. She stops hanging out with people. Her grades plummet. You know, it's both a good time and not a good time. And meanwhile, Kyomoto is also getting better at art. So it is just causing this sort of downward spiral, even though she is also improving. And eventually, she kind of just stops. She realizes that she wants to have friends again. She wants to go hang out with people again. And, you know, she wants to just sort of be a normal person. So she quits making art. She throws out all of her books, you know, and this is due to societal pressure of people going, you need to study, you need to get good grades, you need to stop focusing on your art, you know, because being an artist is rough. You know, you're going to be broke, you know, that kind of thing. So she gives in, right? And eventually she needs to go over and deliver Kyomoto's diploma for graduating elementary school. So she goes over there, right? And she keeps trying to like open the door and all this stuff. And she eventually wanders to Kyomoto's room, and she finds a 4-panel. If I keep saying page, know that I mean panel. I don't know why I keep saying page. I've had to cut it out a couple times, but I'm lazy. a 4-panel comic strip, and she tries kind of a little bit of a mean comic on it, but it's also a little bit funny, and she was just gonna do that just to like quickly let out her frustrations, but eventually, due to the wind and circumstance, flies under the door, and she goes and books it, right? She's out Iwazowski, right? But Kyomoto runs after her, right, and is like, oh my god, you're Fujino, I'm a big fan. Right? And she's like, you what? Right? So, and kind of what happens after this is, they essentially become friends, like, best buddies. These are your ride or dies, right? And they start publishing manga together, just quick one-shots that they submit to competitions, and they're doing very, very well. And they become closer and closer and closer. They are two artists who inspire each other and continue inspiring each other through art. And eventually, Fujino gets a serialization deal. So a serialization is sort of, her art gets taken more seriously. She can get paid to publish an ongoing manga. Right, and that's sort of like her dream, so she doesn't have to go to school, she doesn't have to do anything, and she's like, hell yeah, right, let's go, right? But Kyomoto doesn't want to, and Kyomoto wants to go to art school. Kyomoto wants to improve at her art just for the sake of improving, because she wants to just get better in general, and she's like, maybe afterwards, and obviously this causes like, them to get into a little bit of a tiff, a little bit of an issue, so they kind of stop talking to each other. So Fujino continues, she ends up becoming, a serialized author, it does really well, and then she's got to make more, and things are going, and Kyomoto goes to art school, and then Kyomoto dies in an attack, in a axe attack. Since they live in Japan, they don't get shootings, they get axed. That's a horrible joke, but you get the meaning. And Fujino is obviously feeling awful about it, So she ends up going to Kyomoto's old house, and stands in front of the door that she stood in front of when she first met her, and sort of just tries to remember and, tries to assess to herself, like, what would have happened if she never made art? What would have happened if she never stumbled into Kyomoto? And she sort of blames it all on her art. And eventually she comes to the very long-winded conclusion of, it wouldn't have changed anything. Kyomoto still would have made art. Kyomoto still would have died, or Kyomoto wouldn't have died and she would have died. It wouldn't have changed anything. And then Fujino reminisces about, making art in general, and she kind of asks herself, why does she make art? Why does she do this? She asks, I would much rather be reading manga than writing it. I'd much rather be watching anime. I'd much rather be doing all these other things than making art. But then she just remembers Kyomoto and the good time she had with her, and she doesn't really answer the question. And then she just goes back to making her manga. She just sits back down and continues to work. And that's the end of the movie. So I'm gonna get terribly sentimental for a hot minute. This is my first YouTube video, if it's not obvious. And I'm sort of making this as my almost last hurrah, in a way. I guess it's not my last hurrah. I don't know where this YouTube video is going to go. I'm recording it now, and I could see it not going anywhere. I could see it also going viral. I'm scared either way. I'm scared what it will say about me, and I'm scared whether it will cause me to question why I make art once again, why I do the things that I do. I'll probably always continue making art, but I do the things that I do. I make art, and I want to make these kinds of videos because when I die, and this is going to get a little bit morbid, I kind of think about death a lot in a way of like, I try to live my life with no regrets, and I sit there and think to myself, would I rather have the regret of trying and failing or never trying? And I'm choosing trying and failing because I know I'm going to live with the fact of never trying is probably going to haunt me more on my deathbed. Look back in a way after watching that movie, I kind of had a bit of an epiphany when our main character is asking herself why she makes art. And I kind of related to that whole speech of, I don't actually like making art. I mean, I like it, but yeah, I would rather be doing other things than sitting over my freaking tablet, cramped up, wearing an arm brace, having to do stretches every morning so my back doesn't cramp. I would much rather be going out with friends. I would much rather be, talking to people. I would much rather be doing all these other things than making art. So why do I do it? Why do I continue? And most people will say the answer is you do it because of love, and they're not wrong. But I think where they are wrong is you do it because you love art. And I think it's a bit deeper than that. Like, yeah, I technically love art, but I don't actually really love art. I think art to me is an expression of my love. I make art because it's a way for me to get my love out there. All the love that's inside of me, the love I have for my friends, my family, the life that I have, the things that I have been shown. It is a way for me to express that love. It's a way for me to express my love for old movies. It's a way for me to express my love for girls. It's a way for me to express my love for literally everything. It is the way I show love. It is a love language almost. I make art because of other people, and I want them to have my art to let them know that I love them. And even if it's just a stranger, like maybe I don't really love strangers, but it's showing this, hey, I care about you as a human being. Take my art. And I think that's the thing that Look Back showed me. And that was sort of the epiphany I had after watching that movie, is I make art not because I love it, but because it is my love. Again, I was talking about making art for my friends. I'm making it because I love my friends. That's what I do. It's a love language. It's going, I love you, bitch. I'll never stop loving you, bitch. That's what I do with my time. And I think if social media were to disappear tomorrow, if it were to just go away, if I were to never have social media, never see it again, I would still keep making art. Like, if the apocalypse were to freaking happen, if we were to get nuked and I somehow survived the nuclear fallout, some way, one way or another, I would still make art. I don't know what I would make it of, but I'd probably make it. Like, if my limbs were torn off, if my eyeball was torn off, I'd make art. If I couldn't even see, if I couldn't talk, I'd be making it with my foot. I'd make art. And, I think this answers sort of the question of, I don't have to realistically post on social media. I don't. I know you don't either. But I will continue to make art. I'm going to post because I want to. I want to show the love that I have for everything. I'm making this video because I care. I love art, so therefore I'm making art because I love it, if that makes sense. And I think the real conclusion, and something that I need to hear, and maybe you do too, is you should keep making art. We all know realistically why, but I'm going to say it out loud. So the only conclusion that I can really bring this video to is me telling you, keep making art. Not because you want to, but because you need to. It is you. Your art is you. And you need you more than anyone else. Keep making art.